Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
It ain't so groovy when you're screaming in the night. Let me out of this cheap movie. Headlong down the highway, and you're rushing headlong, out of control. And you think you're so strong, but there ain't no stopping, and you can't stop rocking. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona. We're, I'm covering a lot of this stuff from a different perspective that a lot of people that don't watch Freedom's Phoenix, they don't really understand why we would put some things up. If you spend any amount of time on Freedom's Phoenix, I mean, even a few days or a week, or spend some time just searching the site, you start to see a pattern. And I'll tell you what the pattern is. It's why I'm so convinced. And a lot of the editors, and the senior editors, and other writers and columnists on Freedom's Phoenix, we put the stuff up and say, look, man, here's just another neon freaking I told you so, how broke this stuff is and where we're going. And you'll go, why did they put this up or that? You know, it's from every perspective, every aspect, every view of what's going on here and around the world, you see the problems. 40 years ago today, August 15th, 1971, the day Nixon created Ron Paul. Here you go. So this is the video shows Nixon announcing that the dollar will no longer be backed by gold in international transactions. The alarming event sparked the political career of a doctor named Ron Paul. Let's go ahead and give it a shot, see what's...
The third indispensable element in building the new prosperity is closely related to creating new jobs and halting inflation. We must protect the position of the American dollar as a pillar of monetary stability around the world. In the past 7 years, there's been an average of one international monetary crisis every year. Now, who gains from these crises? Not the working man, not the investor, not the real producers of wealth. The gainers are the international money speculators. Because they thrive on crises, they help to create them. In recent weeks, the speculators have been waging an all-out war on the American dollar. The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world. Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States. Now, what is this action, which is very technical, what does it mean for you? Let me lay to rest the bugaboo of what is called devaluation. If you want to buy a foreign car or take a trip abroad, market conditions may cause your dollar to buy slightly less. But if you are among the overwhelming majority of Americans who buy American-made products in America, your dollar will be worth just as much tomorrow as it is today. The effect of this action, in other words, will be to stabilize the dollar. Now, this action will not win us any friends among the international money traders. But our primary concern is with the American workers and with fair competition around the world. To our friends abroad, including the many responsible members of the international banking community who are dedicated to stability in the flow of trade, I give this assurance. The United States has always been and will continue to be a forward-looking and trustworthy trading partner. In full cooperation with the International Monetary Fund and those who trade with us, we will press for the necessary reforms to set up an urgently needed new international monetary system. Stability and equal treatment is in everybody's best interest. I am determined that the American dollar must never again be a hostage in the hands of international speculators. I'm taking one further step to protect the dollar, to improve our balance of payments, and to increase jobs for Americans. As a temporary measure, I am today imposing an additional tax of 10% on goods imported into the United States. This is a better solution for international trade than direct controls on the amount of imports. This import tax is a temporary action. It isn't directed against any other country. It's an action to make certain that American products will not be at a disadvantage because of unfair exchange rates. When the unfair treatment is ended, the import tax will end as well. As a result of these actions, the product of American labor will be more competitive, and the unfair edge that some of our foreign competition has will be removed. This is a major reason why our trade balance has eroded over the past 15 years.
Okay. Tomorrow, we have Charles Goyette is coming in. Let me tell you what's going on this week. Tomorrow, Charles Goyette's going to come in. We're going to talk about this. What happened is the United States was just printing a bunch of money. And France said, you know what? A bunch of these worthless dollars are still worth $35 an ounce, and gold that's set, you know, the peg, the dollar's as good as gold will give me my gold. And they said, it got to the point to where Nixon said, you know what? We're going to go broke with these inflated dollars being able to, you know, buy gold. And what was interesting, I tell this story sometimes, it was during the Revolution, and they're making signs in the backyard, and I got the video camera out because I walked out and I noticed there was like 7 or 8 women. There was Donna and some of the other women. They just, for whatever reason, they were together and all of a sudden there was no guys, and all the way I said, you want to see where all the women is? They're right here. So I got the video camera out and I'm doing it. And one of the signs they were making, one of Renee's favorites, she goes, it says, the Fed did it. And it has an arrow pointing down, and then it has a dollar sign. So the Fed did it. They made the dollar go down. And I go to Renee and I said, the Fed did it. What'd they do? And just without just deadpan, she just says, they printed money and bought gold with it. And I'm like, wow. If that wasn't the clearest, most succinct definition of what happened, they printed money and bought gold with it. Well, that's certainly what was happening with a lot of the foreign sovereign debt. They would, you know, here we had France. I think it was de Gaulle. He's going, look, man, they're just printing us into oblivion. They're devaluing it. All right, fine. We'll take your dollars. We want gold. Well, Nixon had to close the gold window because, you know what? Dollar's not good as gold anymore because you guys are there's international speculators. Speculating on what? They were speculating on the United States government keeping printing money. That's what they were speculating on. Why do you think gold is going up now? Because they're printing more money. We have a story here. We're talking about it going to $25,000 or something. You know, let me see if I got this one. I'm sure I brought it up for us to talk about. But it's just, why? Because here we go. The case for $25,000 an ounce. Yet the number of Americans who actually own gold is likely under 10%. The question must be asked, what happens if price inflation really accelerates at some point, as it is likely to do? The answer most likely is that many more will flock to gold. In the old days, if price inflation pushed prices up over a few years by 100%, gold would likely climb by as much. Based on its present level, it would climb to roughly $3,000 area as gold bugs continued their steady buying. But what if the next massive price inflation brings with it a flight away from the dollar as a reserve currency and causes the number of owners of gold in the United States to climb from under 10% to, say, 50%. What did Nixon say? You know, during his talk, he goes, we're working with the IMF to create a new monetary system for the world. What might that be? They want to protect the dollar and all this kind of stuff, but they wanted a new system. This is when they started with a special drawing rights. You keep hearing about this. This has been going on for decades. You know, this is how they transfer money between banks and countries and doing whatever it is, make it up. So I'm going, this system is already there. It's already there. They're already doing it. And what impact is it going to have on you? Well, a lot less if you start buying precious metals. I mean, I've been screaming that forever, so I'm still thinking silver's going to get stupid. I mean, from me saying get it since it's been in the single digits up to $13, screaming everybody buy it, and it's over double that, triple almost. I'm like, well, I don't know. How stupid does it have to keep going up before it becomes really stupid? A lot more, I think. It's going to get amazing. We'll talk about more of the economy and so on, get you kind of prepped up, for our meeting with Charles Goyette tomorrow. We'll be right back. Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.